Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the New Seoul, watching the stars through the large window. His ship was not the biggest or the fastest in the human fleet, but it was his home. For 3 years, he had been exploring the empty space between Earth's colonies, looking for new worlds where humans could live. "Captain," said Dr. Park Ji-won, walking up behind him. She carried a data pad in her hands and looked excited. "We are getting strange signals from the Kepler system. It looks like someone is trying to talk to us." Minho turned around. In all his years of space travel, he had never met anyone who was not human. Earth scientists had always wondered if other life existed in the galaxy, but they had never found proof. Until now. "Are you sure it's not just cosmic noise?" he asked. "I have been studying the patterns for 6 hours," Ji-won replied. "This is definitely made by someone with intelligence, someone who wants to communicate." Minho nodded slowly. This was the moment that would change everything for humanity. He pressed the button on his chair that connected him to all the crew members on his ship. "Attention, everyone. We may have just made contact with alien life. All departments prepare for first contact procedures. This is not a drill." The bridge became busy with activity. Officers checked their systems and made sure everything was working perfectly. Minho knew that whatever happened next would be remembered by humans for thousands of years. 3 days later, a massive ship appeared near the New Seoul. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. The alien vessel was smooth and curved, like a giant pearl floating in space. It was 10 times bigger than Minho's ship. "They are sending us a message," said Lieutenant Kim Do-hyun from the communication station. "It's coming through in perfect Korean somehow." "Put it on screen," Minho ordered. The main screen flickered and then showed the face of an alien being. It had blue skin, 4 eyes, and what looked like tentacles instead of hair. When it spoke, the voice was calm and friendly. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Council. We represent 847 species from across this galaxy. We have been watching your people for some time, and we believe you are ready to join the greater community." Minho felt his heart beating faster. 847 species. The galaxy was full of life, and humans had been alone without knowing it. "This is Captain Lee Minho of the human ship New Seoul. We are honored to meet you, Ambassador Veltar." The alien smiled, showing teeth that looked like small crystals. "Your species has shown great promise. You are peaceful. You explore with curiosity instead of conquest, and you have not destroyed your homeworld. These are rare qualities." Over the next few hours, Veltar explained how the galaxy worked. The Galactic Council was like a government that helped different species work together. They shared technology, prevented wars, and made sure everyone had enough resources to survive. But as Veltar spoke, Minho noticed something strange. The aliens seemed to be holding back information. When Minho asked about human territory or military protection, Veltar's answers became unclear. "Your people will be given a small area to govern," Veltar said. 12 star systems should be enough for your population. You must understand, humans are very new to galactic society. It is better to start small." Dr. Park Ji-won, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up. "What about the other species? How much territory do they have?" Veltar paused for a moment. "That depends on many factors: age, military strength, contribution to the council. Humans are, let us say, not yet ready for larger responsibilities." After the meeting ended and the alien ship left, Minho called his senior officers together in the conference room. Something did not feel right about the conversation. "Did anyone else notice how he talked about us?" asked Commander Yoon Sora, the ship's second in command. "Like we were children who needed to be watched." 12 star systems," said Dr. Park Ji-won, shaking her head. "Earth's population is already 8 billion people. Our colonies have another 2 billion. 12 systems is not enough space for us to grow." Lieutenant Kim Do-hyun pulled up a star map on the table screen. "I have been studying the signals we picked up from other species. Some of them control hundreds of star systems. The Kethran Empire alone has over 300 worlds." Minho stared at the map. Red dots showed human colonies scattered across just a few nearby star systems. Blue, green, and yellow dots showed the territories of other species. The difference was huge. Maybe they are just being careful, Sora suggested. We are new. They do not know if they can trust us. Or maybe, said Jiwan quietly, they do not think we are strong enough to deserve more. 3 weeks later, Earth received an official message from the Galactic Council. Admiral Kim Do-hyun, the head of Earth's Colonial Defense Force, called an emergency meeting with all the colony leaders. The Council has made their decision, Admiral Kim announced over the communication link that connected all human worlds. We have been accepted as a junior member species. We get 12 systems exactly as Ambassador Veltar said. What does junior member mean? Asked Governor Lee Hyerin from the New Busan colony. It means we follow orders instead of giving them, Admiral Kim replied, his voice showing his frustration. We can trade with other species, but only the resources they want. We can explore space, but only in areas they approve. And if there is ever a conflict, we are expected to stay out of it. Captain Minho was listening from his ship, which was now heading back to Earth. The more he learned about the Galactic Council, the less he liked it. It seemed like the older, stronger species made all the decisions, and newer species like humans just had to accept whatever they were given. But there was something else that worried him more. During his research into galactic history, he had found references to something called the Void Watchers. These were ancient beings who had been in the galaxy longer than anyone else. They rarely spoke to other species, but when they did, their words carried great weight. 3 days after the Council's announcement, the Void Watchers sent their own message. It was not directed at humans, but at the Galactic Council itself. However, human scientists intercepted and decoded it. Dr. Park Ji-won brought the translation to Admiral Kim's office on Earth. Her face was pale as she handed him the datapad. Sir, you need to read this, she said. Admiral Kim read the message, aloud. The young species from the third rock shows restraint now, but their nature runs deeper than oceans. Do not test what lies beneath their calm surface. This is not a suggestion. This is a warning. Kim looked up at Ji-won. They are talking about us. Yes, sir. And according to the historical records, the Void Watchers have never given a warning like this about any other species. Kim set down the datapad and walked to his window, looking out at the blue sky of Earth. Somewhere up there, 847 alien species were making decisions about humanity's future. They saw humans as weak and harmless. But the Void Watchers, who had watched the galaxy for millions of years, saw something different. Doctor, he said finally, I want you to start a new research project. I want to know everything about human history, every war, every conflict, every time our species has been pushed too far. I have a feeling we are going to need that information someday. Dr. Park Ji-won nodded and left the office. Admiral Kim continued to stare out the window. The Galactic Council thought they knew what humans were like. They thought 12 star systems would be enough to keep humanity happy and quiet. They had no idea how wrong they were. Far out in the cold darkness between galaxies, the Void Watchers continued, their ancient watch. They had seen this pattern before thousands of years ago. A peaceful species, underestimated by their neighbors, pushed slowly toward a line they should never cross. The Galactic Council had been warned. Whether they listened or not was their choice. But choices, the Void Watchers knew, always had consequences. 3 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Ambassador Choi Hyun-woo had spent those years learning how galactic politics worked, and he did not like what he had discovered. The Council was not really about equality or cooperation. It was about power. The older, stronger species made decisions and everyone else followed orders. Humans had been given the smallest territory of any spacefaring species, and their requests for more colonies were always denied. The decision is final, said Counselor Thexmar, a tall alien with gray skin and 6 arms. Humans have proven they cannot manage their current territory efficiently. Until your population control improves, no new colonies will be approved. Ambassador Choi sat in his chair at the council chamber, trying to stay calm. This was the 15th time in 3 years that human requests had been rejected. Around him, representatives from 847 species watched with cold interest. "Respected counselor," Choi said carefully, "human population is growing because we have longer lifespans than most species. We need more space, not less people." "That is your problem to solve," Thexmar replied. "The Council cannot give valuable star systems to species who cannot control their breeding." Choi felt anger building in his chest, but he kept his voice level. "Many Council species have much larger populations than humans. The Zentari Collective alone has over 50 billion citizens across 200 worlds. The Zentari have been Council members for 3,000 years, another alien said. They have earned their territory through service and contribution. Humans have done nothing to deserve expansion." The session ended with the same result as always: no new territory. For humans. No increase in trading rights, no voice in important decisions. Choi gathered his papers and left the chamber, feeling the eyes of alien representatives on his back. Outside, Commander Yoon Sora was waiting for him. She had been assigned as his military advisor, though humans were not supposed to need military advice as a peaceful species. "How did it go?" she asked, though she could see the answer on his face. "The same as always," Choi replied. "They treat us like children who cannot be trusted with important things." As they walked through the space station corridors, Sora noticed something that worried her. Other species representatives whispered and pointed when humans passed. There was something different about the way they looked at humanity now, not just dismissive, but calculating. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "I think we have a problem." 2 weeks later, the problem became clear. A massive fleet of Kethran warships appeared at the edge of human space. The Kethrans were one of the Council's military powers, a species of insect-like warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds before joining galactic society. Admiral Kim Do-yun received the communication at Earth's defense headquarters. The message was simple and direct. "Humans will vacate 6 of your 12 star systems within 30 days, announced General Vextar, the Kethran fleet commander. His face looked like a giant mantis with metal armor grafted onto his skull. "These systems contain rare minerals that the Council needs for important projects. Those systems have human colonies," Admiral Kim replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Millions of people live there. We cannot just abandon our homes." "That is not our concern," Vextar said. "The Council has voted. Kethran expansion takes priority over human comfort. You will remove your people, or we will remove them for you." The communication ended. Admiral Kim sat in his chair staring at the blank screen. This was exactly what he had feared would happen. The galactic community had decided that humanity was too weak to protect what belonged to them. He immediately called Ambassador Choi, who was still at the Council station. "Hyunwoo, we need emergency arbitration. The Kethrans are demanding 6 of our systems." "I am already working on it," Choi replied, his voice tight with stress. "But the Council is saying this is a legal territorial adjustment. The Kethrans claim they need those minerals for the Galactic Defense Project." "What Galactic Defense Project?" "Nobody will tell me. It is classified above human security level." Admiral Kim felt cold anger spreading through his body. "So they can take our homes for a secret project and we have no right to even know what it is?" "That is correct. I am sorry, Do-hyun. The vote was 743-3 in favor of the Kethran request. Only 2 other junior species voted with us." After the call ended, Admiral Kim walked to the window of his office. Earth looked peaceful from space, blue and white and beautiful. But somewhere out there, an alien fleet was waiting to take human worlds by force. He activated his emergency communication system and sent a message to all human colonies. "This is Admiral Kim Do-hyun. All colonial governors are to begin emergency evacuation procedures for systems designated as Kethran targets. We have been ordered to abandon our homes. The Galactic Council has decided that alien mining rights are more important than human lives." The response from the colonies was immediate and angry. Governor Park Min-soo from New Busan Colony sent the strongest reply. "Admiral, my people have lived here for 20 years. We built farms, schools, hospitals. This is our home. Are you seriously asking us to just walk away? I am not asking, Governor. I am begging. The Kethran fleet has 300 warships. We have 12 defense vessels for our entire territory. If we fight, they will destroy us completely. Then maybe it is time to find out what happens when someone pushes humans too far, Governor Park replied. Admiral Kim understood the governor's anger. He felt it too. But anger would not stop Kethran plasma cannons or their battle cruisers. Humanity was outnumbered and outgunned. The evacuation began 3 days later. Human transport ships moved from world to world, taking families away from the homes they had built with their own hands. Children cried as they left their schools. Farmers watched their crops burn as automated systems shut down. But the Kethrans were not satisfied with just taking the territory. They wanted to send a message. On the 28th day, 2 days before the deadline, General Vextar decided to show humans what happened to species who were too slow to obey orders. New Busan colony still had 2 million people on the surface. Governor Park had refused to abandon his world completely, saying his people needed more time to pack their belongings and close their businesses properly. The Kethran response was swift and brutal. Captain Lee Minho was in orbit around New Jeju when the reports started coming in. His communications officer, Lieutenant Oh Minji, turned from her station with tears in her eyes. "Captain, we are receiving emergency broadcasts from New Busan. The Kethrans they are bombing the surface." Minho felt his blood turn to ice. "Bombing? I thought this was a territorial transfer, not a military action." "Sir, they are not targeting military installations. They are hitting cities, farms, schools, everywhere that has human life." The bridge fell silent except for the sound of the emergency broadcasts. Voices screaming for help. Reports of entire cities disappearing in flashes of light. Families trapped under burning buildings. "How many people?" Minho asked quietly. Lieutenant O checked her data. 2.3 million confirmed dead, sir. Governor Park's last transmission said the planet was uninhabitable. The atmosphere is toxic from the bombardment. Minho closed his eyes. 2 million humans, killed in a single day. Not in battle, not in war, but as an example. The Kethrans had committed genocide to prove a point about following orders. Within hours, every human in the galaxy had heard about New Busan. The reaction was unlike anything Admiral Kim had ever seen. Not just anger, but something deeper. Something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Dr. Park Ji-won came to his office with a report that confirmed his fears. "Sir, I have been monitoring communications from all human colonies. The psychological profile is concerning." "What do you mean?" "Humans are not reacting to this tragedy the way other species would. Most galactic species would either submit completely or make empty threats. But humans are doing neither. They are getting quiet, focused. They are starting to plan." Admiral Kim nodded slowly. He had seen this before, in Earth's history books. When humans were pushed past a certain point, they did not get angry and loud. They got calm and deadly. "Doctor, I want you to accelerate that research project I assigned you 3 years ago. Human military history, human psychology, human capabilities. I want to know everything about what our species is capable of when we are not trying to be civilized." "Sir, are you planning to fight the Galactic Council?" "No, Doctor. I am planning for what happens when they push us too far again." "Because they will. Species like the Kethrans do not stop with one victory. They keep taking until someone makes them stop." At the council station, Ambassador Choi requested an emergency session to address the New Busan massacre. His request was denied. The Kethran action was within legal bounds, Councillor Thexmar informed him. Humans were warned about the consequences of slow compliance. This matter is closed. 2 million innocent people are dead, Choi said, his voice shaking with controlled rage. "And that is regrettable," Thexmar replied. "But the responsibility lies with human leadership, who failed to evacuate their citizens in time. The Council offers its thoughts and sympathy for your loss." Thoughts and sympathy for genocide. The massacre at New Busan was just the beginning. Within 6 months, 3 more alien species decided that humans were easy targets who would not fight back. They were wrong, but they would not learn that lesson until it was too late. The Zentari. Collective moved first. They were a species of tall, thin beings who believed that weaker races should serve stronger ones. Their ships appeared around New Jeju Colony, while most humans were still mourning their dead from New Busan. Captain Oh Minji was commanding the defense station when the Zentari fleet arrived. Her small patrol ship was no match for their battle cruisers, but she held position anyway. This is Captain Oh Minji of the Human Colonial Defense Force. State your business in human space. The alien who appeared on her screen looked like a walking skeleton covered in pale skin. When it spoke, its voice was cold and arrogant. I am Commander Zilden of the Zentari Collective. We are here to collect workers for our industrial projects. The Galactic Council has approved our request for human labor. What kind of labor? Oh asked, though she was afraid she already knew the answer. Your people will work in our deep mines and radiation plants. The Council has determined that humans are suitable for dangerous work that other species cannot survive. Oh felt her hands tighten on her command chair. You mean slaves? We prefer the term indentured servants, Zil then replied with what might have been a smile. Your people will be fed and housed. What more could a primitive species want? We want to be left alone on our own worlds. That is no longer an option. Stand down your defenses and prepare for civilian collection. We require 50,000 workers immediately. Oh looked at her tactical display. The Zentari had 30 ships to her one. Fighting would be suicide. But letting them take human colonists would be worse than death. I am sorry, Commander Zilden, but I cannot allow that. You cannot stop us, human. Your ship is insignificant. Oh smiled grimly. My ship, yes, but I am not alone. She activated her emergency beacon, sending a coded message that every human vessel in the system would receive. The message was simple. Remember New Busan. Within minutes, every human ship in the New Jeju system was moving toward the Zentari fleet. Not military vessels, but mining ships, cargo haulers, passenger transports. Civilian craft with makeshift weapons and untrained crews. What are you doing? Zil then demanded. Those ships are not warships. No, Oh agreed. But they are flown by humans who will not let their families be taken as slaves. The battle was brief and brutal. The Zentari ships were stronger, but they had never faced opponents who deliberately rammed their vessels into enemy hulls. Human pilots crashed their ships into Zentari engines, sacrificing themselves to cripple the larger vessels. Captain O's ship was one of the last to be destroyed, but not before she recorded a message that would reach every human colony within hours. This is Captain O Minji. The Zentari Collective tried to take our people as slaves. We stopped them. The cost was high, but slavery is not acceptable. To any species listening, humans do not surrender our families. Remember that. The message spread through human space like fire, but it also reached alien ears, and instead of learning caution, more species saw opportunity. The Morgothian hierarchy had always been interested in biological research. They were a race of scientists who believed that knowledge was more important than individual lives. Their research ships had been watching human colonies for months, studying human biology and behavior. Dr. Kang Woo-jin was working at the Human Research Station on New Seoul when the Morgothian ships arrived. Unlike the previous attacks, the aliens did not announce their intentions or make demands. They simply began taking what they wanted. Director Kang, we have unknown ships landing at Colony Site 7, reported his assistant, Dr. Nam Yura. They are not responding to our communications. Woo Jin pulled up the security feeds from Site 7 and felt his blood freeze. The Morgothian landing craft were not collecting resources or territory. They were taking children. Human children loaded into alien transport containers like cargo. Some were crying, some were fighting, but none of them understood what was happening to them. Get me Admiral Kim immediately, Woo Jin ordered. Emergency priority. When Admiral Kim's face appeared on screen, Woo Jin did not waste time with pleasantries. Sir, the Morgothians are kidnapping our children. Colony Site 7, at least 200 taken so far. Kim's face went pale. For what purpose? Unknown, but based on their species profile, probably medical experiments. They consider other races to be useful test subjects. The connection was silent for a long moment. Then Kim spoke in a voice that Wu Jin had never heard before. It was quiet, controlled, and absolutely terrifying. Doctor, I want you to record everything, every ship, every face, every detail. When this is over, we are going to need evidence for the tribunals. Sir, what tribunals? The ones where we judge them for crimes against humanity. While the Morgothians were collecting human children for their research, the Void Syndicate was turning the kidnapping of humans into entertainment. They were pirates and raiders who broadcast their attacks as sporting events for the amusement of other species. General Bei Tai-hyung was Earth's newly appointed Minister of War, a position that had been created after New Busan. His job was to prepare humanity for conflicts that everyone hoped would never come. Now those conflicts were here. Sir, we have confirmed reports of syndicate raids on 15 human merchant vessels in the past month, reported his aide, Colonel Jung Hanul. They are not just stealing cargo. They are hunting human crews for sport and broadcasting it as entertainment. How many survivors? Tae-hyung asked. None, sir. The syndicate does not take prisoners. They consider the hunt more exciting when the prey has no hope of escape. Tae-hyung studied the star charts on his office wall. Red marks showed where human ships had been attacked. The pattern was clear. The aliens were testing human responses, seeing how much they could take before humans broke. Colonel, what is our current military strength? 12 patrol ships, sir. Designed for peacekeeping, not war. Against the combined fleets we are facing, we would last approximately 6 hours in open battle. What about our industrial capacity? Young checked her datapad. Earth's manufacturing output is focused on civilian goods. Our shipyards produce exploration vessels and cargo haulers. We have never built dedicated warships. Tae-hyung nodded slowly. Humanity had spent centuries learning to be peaceful, cooperative, and focused on exploration rather than conquest. Those were good qualities for civilization, but terrible qualities for survival when other species wanted to destroy you. Colonel, I am issuing War Production Order 1. All human industry is to be converted to military manufacturing immediately. Every shipyard, every factory, every research facility. We are going to build a war machine. Sir, the Galactic Council will not approve military expansion by humans. The Galactic Council stood by while aliens murdered millions of our people, enslaved our colonists, and kidnapped our children. I do not care what they approve. As the months passed, the attacks on humanity escalated. The aliens had learned that humans would not fight back effectively, and that the Galactic Council would not intervene. It was open season on human space. But the aliens had not paid attention to what humans were doing during those months of attacks. They saw human ships retreating and human colonies evacuating, and they assumed it was cowardice. They did not recognize preparation when they saw it. Dr. Park Ji-won had completed her research project on human military history, and the results were disturbing even to her. She brought her final report to Admiral Kim's office on a cold morning in December. Admiral, you need to see this, she said, setting a thick folder on his desk. I have studied every major conflict in human history, from ancient tribal wars to the resource wars of 2089. The pattern is always the same. What pattern? Humans fight differently than any other species in the galaxy. Most alien conflicts are ritualistic, limited in scope, focused on specific objectives. They have rules, honor codes, ways to surrender with dignity. Kim opened the folder and saw page after page of historical data. Battle of Stalingrad, the Pacific Campaign, the Siege of Constantinople, the Resource Wars. Century after century of human warfare, each conflict more total and devastating than anything in galactic history. We do not fight for territory or resources, Ji-won continued. We fight to eliminate threats. When humans go to war, we do not stop until the enemy can never threaten us again. Total victory or total destruction. There is no middle ground. Kim studied a particular report about human tactics during the resource wars. The level of strategic thinking and tactical brutality was impressive even by human standards. Doctor, what would happen if we applied this level of military thinking to our current situation? The alien species attacking us would cease to exist as threats within 18 months, Jiwan replied without hesitation. But sir, the cost would be enormous. Once humans start fighting this way, we do not stop until the job is finished completely. That evening, Kim received the final insult that would trigger everything the Void Watchers had tried to prevent. A combined fleet of alien warships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, not to attack immediately but to deliver a message. The first sign that humanity had changed came 6 months after Admiral Kim's declaration of war. The alien fleet that had demanded Earth's surrender was still waiting at the edge of the solar system, expecting human leaders to arrive with terms of capitulation. Instead, they got Captain Ominji's replacement. Fleet Commander Jung Hanul had been promoted after her heroic defense of New Jeju, and she now commanded humanity's first true war fleet. Her ships were not the elegant, streamlined vessels that other species preferred. They were brutal, functional machines built for one purpose, killing. The lead ship, Retribution, looked like a flying weapon. Angular armor plating covered fusion reactors that could power entire colonies. Weapon ports lined every surface. Most importantly, the ship had no luxury accommodations, no diplomatic quarters, and no systems designed for anything except war. "This is Fleet Commander Jung Hanul," she announced to the alien fleet. "You have exactly 10 minutes to leave our solar system before we destroy you." The alien commander, a Kethran general named Hextar, responded with typical arrogance. "Human, you have 12 small ships. We have 300 battle cruisers. Your threats are meaningless." "General, let me explain something about human mathematics," Jung replied calmly. "You have 300 ships designed to fight other civilized species who follow rules of war. We have 12 ships designed to kill everything in space that threatens humanity. The numbers are not in your favor." Hextar laughed, a sound like metal scraping against metal. "Your species has become delusional. We will accept your surrender now, or we will take it after we destroy your pathetic fleet." "I was hoping you would say that," Jung said. "All ships, weapons free. Remember New Busan. Remember our stolen children. Show them what happens when you attack humanity." The battle that followed became known as the Massacre of Saul. The alien fleet outnumbered the humans 25-1, but numbers meant nothing when one side had spent months preparing for total war, while the other expected ritualistic combat. Human ships did not try to disable enemy vessels or capture prisoners. They targeted reactor cores, life support systems, and command bridges. When their weapons ran out, they used their ships as missiles. When their ships were destroyed, the crews transmitted tactical data to help the surviving vessels aim better. The Retribution took damage from 50 different alien weapons, but Jung kept fighting until her ship's hull was cracked open and radiation was flooding the bridge. Her last transmission was heard across the galaxy. "This is Fleet Commander Jung Hanul. The alien fleet has been destroyed. Earth is secure. To any species listening, this is what happens when you threaten human civilians. We are not the peaceful explorers you remember. We are your worst nightmare, and we are coming for everyone who hurt our people." The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, 300 alien warships were floating debris. 12 human vessels were destroyed. But their sacrifice had eliminated an entire invasion fleet. News of the victory spread through human space like electricity. But more importantly, it reached alien worlds and caused panic among species who had thought humans were harmless. Dr. Kang Woo-jin was no longer running a research station. His facility had been converted to a military intelligence center, and his job now was to study alien weaknesses. What he discovered would change the course of the war. "Admiral Kim," he reported during their weekly briefing, "I have completed analysis of the captured alien technology from the Saul battle. The results are interesting." "How so?" "These species have been at peace for so long that they have forgotten how to fight effectively. Their weapons are designed for intimidation rather than destruction. Their tactics are based on psychological pressure rather than strategic thinking. They expect enemies to surrender when faced with superior numbers." Kim studied the data on his screen. Ships that were beautiful but fragile, weapons that made impressive displays but caused limited damage, Military doctrines based on the assumption that no one would actually fight to the death. They have never faced an enemy that refuses to quit, Wu Jin continued. In every galactic conflict for the past 1,000 years, one side surrendered before taking serious losses. The concept of total war is completely foreign to them. What about their industrial capacity? Massive, but inefficient. They build everything to last centuries and look impressive. We build everything to work once, work perfectly, and destroy the target completely. One human missile costs 1/10 of what their defensive systems cost, but our missile will penetrate their defenses every time, Kim nodded grimly. Humanity had accidentally discovered the perfect strategy for galactic warfare. While other species had spent millennia developing elaborate, expensive, ceremonial ways of fighting, humans had spent those same millennia learning to kill efficiently. The second major engagement came when the Zentari Collective tried to recapture the human slaves who had been freed during the Sol battle. They sent their finest fleet, commanded by their greatest military hero, expecting to overwhelm the primitive human defenses through sheer professional skill. Captain Lee Minho, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, met them at the Kepler station. His strategy was simple and terrifying. All civilian vessels evacuate the area immediately, he ordered. Military vessels prepare for Tactic 7. Tactic 7 was something that no alien species had ever experienced. Instead of meeting the enemy, fleet in honorable battle, Minho's ships scattered in all directions, leading the Zentari deeper into human space. The aliens followed, confident that they were chasing a retreating enemy. They realized their mistake when human ships began emerging from behind asteroids, from the shadows of planets, and from the dark spaces between star systems. The Zentari had been led into a trap that covered an entire solar system. But the real horror began when the Zentari tried to surrender. Human fleet, this is Admiral Zenkar, the alien commander broadcast. We yield the field of battle. By galactic law, you must accept our surrender and treat our crews with honor. Minho's reply was heard across the galaxy and changed everything about how aliens viewed humanity. Admiral Zenkar, there is no surrender in total war. You enslaved human families. You stole our people to work in your radiation mines. You thought we were too weak to stop you. Today you learn what humans do to slavers. The Zentari fleet was completely destroyed. Every ship, every crew member, every piece of technology that could be used to enslave other beings. The aliens sent rescue vessels, but Minho's ships destroyed those too. This is Fleet Admiral Lee Minho, he announced to the galaxy. Let this be clear to every species. Slavery is a crime against humanity. Any being, any ship, any world that participates in slavery will be destroyed completely. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The Galactic Council called an emergency session to address the human problem. 847 species gathered to discuss how to stop 12 human star systems from terrorizing the entire galaxy. Ambassador Choi Hyunwoo was not invited to the session, but Human Intelligence Services had infiltrated Council communications months earlier. He listened to the debate from his office on Earth, taking notes for the war crimes tribunals that would come later. The humans must be stopped, declared Counselor Thexmar. They are acting like barbarians, destroying entire fleets instead of accepting honorable surrender. They refuse to follow galactic law, added another representative. Their tactics are uncivilized. They fight like wild animals. Perhaps, said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber, we should consider why they are fighting at all. The time speaker was Ambassador Krelon from the Altarian Republic, one of the few species that had remained neutral in the conflict. The humans asked for more territory and were refused. They requested arbitration when the Kethrans took their worlds and we ignored them. They begged for help when their children were kidnapped, and we offered thoughts and prayers. Now they are solving their problems with violence and we act surprised. The humans are primitive, Thexmar replied angrily. They cannot be allowed to disrupt galactic peace with their savage behavior. What peace? Krelon asked. The Kethrans committed genocide. The Zentari practiced slavery. The Morgothians kidnapped children for experiments. Where was galactic peace when human families were being destroyed? The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was always the same. Humanity had to be stopped by any means necessary. The council voted to authorize complete pacification of human space. They were going to send everything they had to destroy Earth and end the human threat forever. Dr. Park Ji-won brought the intelligence report to Admiral Kim the next morning. Her hands were shaking as she set the document on his desk. Sir, they are gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Over 10,000 warships from 200 different species. They plan to sterilize every human world. Kim read the report carefully. The alien fleet would arrive in human space within 6 weeks. 10,000 ships carrying enough firepower to crack planets and boil oceans. The final solution to the human problem. Doctor, what is our current fleet strength? 200 warships, sir. All of them built for maximum damage rather than survival. Our pilots are volunteers who know they probably will not come home. Kim set down the report and walked to his window. The largest fleet in galactic history arrived at the edge of human space on a Tuesday morning. 10,000 warships from 200 species, carrying enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. At their head was the Council's judgment, a massive dreadnought that served as the flagship for the combined alien armada. Fleet Admiral Lee Min-ho watched them approach from the bridge of the New Seoul, now converted into a mobile command center. His fleet of 200 human warships looked tiny compared to the alien armada, but appearances could be deceiving. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. Remember, we are not trying to win a fair fight. We are trying to end this war permanently. The alien fleet commander, Supreme Admiral Thokvar of the Kethran Empire, sent the expected surrender demand. Humans of Earth, you are surrounded and outnumbered 50 to 1. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick. Continue to resist and we will make your species extinct slowly and painfully. Minho's reply was broadcast to every ship in both fleets, and beyond that to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Supreme Admiral Thokvar, 18 months ago your species murdered 2 million human civilians to prove a point about following orders. Since then, you and your allies have enslaved our people, kidnapped our children, and threatened our homeworld. You have taught us that the galaxy has no place for mercy or civilization. Today, we return the lesson. You are insane, human. 10,000 ships against 200. Even your species cannot be stupid enough to think you can win this battle. Admiral, Minho said calmly, you still do not understand what you are fighting. You see 200 human ships and think you are facing a small fleet. But every one of those ships contains people who watch their families die, who saw their children stolen, who know that losing this battle means the extinction of everything they love. You are not fighting 200 ships. You are fighting the concentrated rage of an entire species that has nothing left to lose. The battle began exactly as the aliens expected. The human fleet scattered in apparent panic, with individual ships fleeing in different directions. The alien commanders smiled with satisfaction as they divided their massive fleet to pursue the retreating humans. That was their first mistake. Captain Oh Jin-soo was commanding the human ship Vengeance when the first alien pursuit group caught up with him. His vessel was outnumbered 30 to 1, but he had not been trying to escape. He had been leading the aliens exactly where he wanted them. All human vessels, execute Pattern Omega, he transmitted. Pattern Omega was something that no alien species had ever experienced. As the pursuing alien ships closed in for what they thought would be an easy kill, every asteroid, space station, and apparently empty patch of space in the system suddenly revealed hidden human weapons. Mines that had been placed months earlier, automated defense platforms disguised as space debris, missile batteries hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. The entire solar system had been turned into a massive trap. The alien ships found themselves caught in a crossfire that came from every direction. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they could not tell where the next attack was coming from. But the real shock came when Captain O's ship began its final attack run. Instead of trying to escape or disable the enemy vessels, the Vengeance flew straight toward the largest alien dreadnought with its engines at maximum power. "This is Captain Oh Jin-soo," he announced over the open channel. "Remember New Busan. Remember our stolen children. This is for every human family you destroyed. The Vengeance crashed into the alien flagship at nearly the speed of light. The resulting explosion destroyed both ships and crippled 6 others. The alien survivors sent panicked messages back to their main fleet, but the reports made no sense to commanders who had never seen tactics like this. They are using their ships as weapons, one pilot reported. They ram our vessels deliberately. They do not try to preserve their own lives. Similar scenes played out across a dozen star systems, as the alien fleet discovered that humans had turned every piece of space within 50 light-years into a battlefield. The aliens had expected to fight a conventional war against a desperate enemy. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare where every human defeat somehow made their situation worse. Dr. Kang Woo-jin was monitoring the battle from his intelligence center on Earth. The reports coming in were both encouraging and terrifying. Encouraging because the human tactics were working better than anyone had hoped. Terrifying because of what those tactics revealed about what humanity had become. Admiral Kim, he reported during the 3rd day of fighting, "We have eliminated approximately 3,000 alien ships. Our losses are 800 vessels, but the exchange rate is improving as the aliens become more confused and desperate. What about their morale?" "Breaking down completely, sir. They have never fought an enemy that views death as an acceptable cost of victory. Their psychological profiles show increasing panic, especially among species that have never experienced casualties above 5%. Kim nodded grimly. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking that humans would fight like they did, with careful preservation of resources, limited objectives, and the expectation of eventual negotiation. They had not prepared for total war. "Sir, there is something else," Woo-jin continued. "We are receiving surrender offers from 17 different species. They want to withdraw from the Galactic Fleet and negotiate separate peace agreements. What are you recommending?" "No negotiations, sir. Any species that joined this extermination fleet knew they were coming here to commit genocide. If we let them withdraw now, they will rebuild and attack us again in a few years. This has to end completely." The turning point came during the Battle of Kepler Station. Fleet Admiral Lee Min-ho had deliberately allowed a large alien fleet to surround the space station, creating what looked like humanity's last stand. The aliens moved in for what they expected to be the final victory. Instead, they found themselves facing something unprecedented in galactic history. Kepler Station was not just a military base. It was home to 50,000 human civilians, including families with children. When the alien fleet demanded surrender, the response came not from military commanders but from the civilians themselves. "This is Dr. Park Sun-hee, civilian administrator of Kepler Station," came the transmission. "We have our children with us. We have our elderly, our artists, our teachers. You want to kill all of us to maintain your galactic order, but we choose to fight." What followed was the most brutal and desperate battle of the war. Civilian transports joined the military vessels in attacking the alien fleet. Families fighting side by side, using mining equipment and maintenance tools as weapons when their military systems failed. The aliens had never seen anything like it. In their experience, civilians surrendered when military forces were defeated. The idea of non-combatants choosing to fight to the death rather than accept occupation was completely foreign to them. "They are all insane," reported one surviving alien captain. "Parents bringing their children into battle, teachers using school buses as attack vehicles. They preferred death to surrender." The Battle of Kepler Station lasted 6 days. When it was over, the station was destroyed and 48,000 humans were dead, but the attacking alien fleet was completely annihilated, and their final transmissions had been heard across the galaxy. The psychological impact was devastating for the remaining alien forces. Species that had ruled star systems for thousands of years suddenly understood that they were fighting opponents who literally preferred extinction to defeat. President Nam Yura had been elected as humanity's wartime leader, and her job was to make the decisions that military commanders could not. As reports came in from battlefields across human space, she faced the choice that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. "Madam President," Admiral Kim reported, "we have broken the main alien fleet. Their casualties are approaching 70%, and their remaining forces are in full retreat. We can pursue and destroy them completely, or we can allow them to withdraw and negotiate a peace agreement. Yura studied the tactical displays showing the scattered remnants of the once mighty Galactic Armada. These ships represented the military power of 200 different species. If they were allowed to escape, some of them would certainly rebuild and threaten humanity again. Admiral, what would our casualties be if we pursued total victory? Heavy, Madam President. We might lose half our remaining fleet. But we would eliminate the threat permanently. Yura closed her eyes and thought about the human children who had been stolen by the Morgothians, the families killed at New Busan, the colonists enslaved by the Zentari, all the pain and loss that had brought humanity to this moment. Admiral, pursue and destroy. No survivors, no negotiation, no mercy for those who came here to commit genocide. When this is over, I want every species in the galaxy to understand that attacking humanity has permanent consequences. The final phase of the war lasted 3 weeks and became known as the Great Pursuit. Human fleets chased retreating alien forces to their home systems and eliminated them completely. Not just their military vessels, but their shipyards, their weapons factories, and their ability to ever threaten another species again.